Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so I think, even though I do a lot of coastal resilience work, I engage a lot with like science communication, but really trying to tap into how do we engage people of intergenerational communication throughout. So
great.
When I saw this, I was really excited.
Good.
Got a good discussion going.
I'll keep this at the bottom.
Okay. You do have somebody else. Oh my gosh, look at them.
Look at
I hope
this.
we don't get more than 20.
Yes.
We'll send it
We'll
out.
also shoot. We can after.
Oh, I did write that.
Afterwards, we can send the link to where it'll live. I'll put it on YouTube.
Okay.
After I convert it.
This is my first webinar where I'm actually seeing all the people.
Yeah, I've never done this either. This is neat.
I know, it's a little scary.
It's good.
We can see if you guys are multitasking.
No, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah. Do millennials like to multitask?
I'm sure they do.
Are millennials good at multitasking? Is that like a trait? I forget.
I think we like to think we are.
Okay. And does it matter if a millennial is a Taurus or a Sagittarius? I mean, where does that, I mean, we could really take this conversation.
Oh my God, that's a whole nother conversation.
I know. What is your horoscope and millennial? Yeah. I think that's another webinar.
That would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah, me too. I have a sister who, when she met people, this is when she was in her early 20s, before she'd ask them her name, she would ask them what sign they were.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's a little embarrassing at times, but then I
different.
started doing it. Should we say goodbye to Joe? Guess he didn't like what we were saying.
Running out. Here's there's Danica. She moved down. All right.
Did you just mute me?
No.
No, we can't.
Did I?
Yeah. Oh no, you didn't. Yeah. It's the power.
If I only had that power at home.
I know.
I'm doing this from home because our internet connection out in Sandy Hook isn't that great. So I'm just hoping like my cat doesn't jump into the screen or anything. She's like staring at me.
Your cat fits the age profile.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Work-life balance, right? Isn't that something that's
It's a millennial thing.
yeah. So do we have
We have
just 5 of us?
11 participants.
Oh wow.
So we really have, well, minus
Us.
us.
Oh, there
so
we go.
9.
Good. That's good. Sorry.
You just have to keep an eye on the chat.
How far do you live from work, Danica?
I'm lucky. I'm 15 minutes away, and it's literally just right down a beach road. So
Okay.
I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
He's kind of like us, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a view of the beach.
Should we? Can I move it?
Yeah.
Do you want to see our view? So I'm in Kathy's office, and this is her view.
Is it,
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Right?
I mean, how can you be mad or anything when you go to work when you have that?
well, you'd be surprised what more I can
You're
do.
right. You're right. Oh, that's a nice view, though. Like I said, we're on the beach, but from our office, you can't see anything. But that's nice.
We're at 15. Look at you guys go. 1:59.
Okay.
Oh, we'll probably start right on time then. We'll start on time and I'll kind of give my little
Cool.
long intro. Long but interesting intro.
2 o'clock.
Okay. And how many people do we have? What do you say?
We have down here.
18.
Oh,
Okay.
Great. 18.
Okay. All right. And
We're
are we
recording.
muting? Are we muting them? Or should we
They
ask
all
them to
mute
mute?
when they come on.
Okay.
And you can tell them they can unmute themselves if they have a question.
Yep.
After
Okay.
you'd like.
All right.
19.
I just wait till 2:01. Is it 2:01?
2:01.
Okay, we're going to start then. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jen McCann, and I'm the Director of Extension for Rhode Island Sea Grant. First of all, just to encourage you all to mute your phones and whatnot, so that so that we can have a nice, clear connection. The purpose of today is to talk about how can we, as communicators, extension agents, and other Sea Grant colleagues, how can we engage millennials more effectively? And it's an interesting story, and however, about a year or two ago, I was and Danica, we were both at a Sea Grant event. And I think we were having lunch together, and we didn't know each other. And so I recognized that she was a millennial. And I said, here in Rhode Island Sea Grant in Rhode Island, we hold a lot of stakeholder events. We do lots of events with the public, but the majority of the people that attend our events are either over 50 or retired, and we really want to make an effort to diversify our who's attending our events, who's participating and following us in our efforts. And so Danica just sort of went on and on about, well, you could do this and you could do this, and this is what I would suggest, and these are millennials. And I was like, wow, we really need your expertise. So of course she agreed to have some conversations with our team, and then in the meantime, our Northeast group decided that we would like to hold a series of webinars on topics that were of interest to us. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this topic because I know nothing about it, or I know I need to learn more about it. And Danica again agreed to be a part of this 1-hour webinar. Before we begin sort of the formal process of this webinar, I wanted to recognize a couple of individuals and groups from our Northeast team. We did not have a regional team conference this year due to the budgeting issues at the federal level. So I was asked to recognize for the individual award winner from the Northeast region. The award is Kristen Grant from Maine Sea Grant. Yay, Kristen! For her project on the Southern Maine Beach Profile Monitoring Program. And this program is the Southern Maine Volunteer Beach Profile Monitoring Program, was established in 1999. It's a unique collaboration among local volunteers, participating municipalities, and scientists, resulting in nearly 2 decades worth of critical data on the status of one of Maine's most vital and valuable natural resources. So congratulations to Kristen Grant from Maine Sea Grant. And for the group award, Connecticut Sea Grant, Tessa Getchis, Anushka Concepcion, Sylvain DeGuise, and Nancy Balcom, again, from Connecticut Sea Grant, and Julie Rose from NOAA National Marine Fisheries. The Milford Lab won the group award for the Connecticut Shellfish Initiative. And the initiative was established to gain a better understanding of the obstacles to growth for commercial, recreational, and natural shellfish resources. So congratulations to all those individuals. We're very proud of you. You've done a great job. So back to the webinar. We are going to have, Danica is going to give a 30-minute presentation about how her program has engaged millennials, as well as things that she's learned about engaging millennials. And then we're really going to open it up for discussion. So really interaction. So you all are welcome to ask questions. You're also welcome to say, well, this is how we're engaging millennials, or say, you know, we're starting to engage millennials, and however, we'd like to improve this. We're not effective. How can we do better? So, so please think about your questions, and then Danica will take those questions, or we'll have a discussion. The other thing I want to mention is this webinar is recorded. So if there's anyone you think who would like to hear this later on, we will send out the link later on. So Danica, we're going to give it to you.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'd especially like to thank Jen for including me on this Engaging Millennials webinar. I'm sure I've met at least some of you since joining the Sea Grant team, but again, my name's Danica Bellini. I'm the communications specialist based in New Jersey. I started there just over a year ago, so it's been great getting more involved with the program and working with such an awesome community throughout it. And previous to this, I lived and worked in New York City, primarily having to do with digital marketing and social media campaigning, which is why this topic holds a lot of interest to me. You know, it's something that's very indefinable. The trends in culture are constantly changing, which I know can be somewhat overwhelming. So the whole point of this presentation is to just show some basic concepts and ideas on who millennials are and how we as a Sea Grant group can better engage them. And I'll also provide some examples from New Jersey's perspective that over the past year, at least, I feel that they've really helped garner more millennial attention. Not only have I seen a steady growth in followers in this specific age group, but I've noticed that they've become more interactive. They're sharing more of our content, they're commenting more, they're emailing me more and calling me more, and that to me is just signs that we're doing the right thing on at least getting a conversation going and getting the Sea Grant brand out there. So just start here. Let's see. I guess the best place to start, of course, would be what is a millennial? Me personally, like Jen said, I know that I'm a millennial, but before really getting started on this project, I couldn't tell you much more than that. So I did a little research, and they finally put a base for this age group. Because at first it was, you know, they'd give or take a few years, but now they put it from 1981. If you're born between 1981 and 1996, you're considered a millennial. So in today's day and age, if you're 22 to 37 years old, you're considered to be a part of this generation, which is interesting because it's a very diverse group of people. 22-year-olds, you know, they're just getting out of college, the young adults, single, just entering the workforce. And then on the older end, 37 spectrum, these are likely people who are now married, maybe starting a family, or have already started a family. So it's just something to keep in mind when thinking of the age group. And a few other key concepts. Most people, well, this whole generation itself, they had to come of age and enter the workforce during a recession. So as you've noticed, this is one of the principal factors, maybe not the only one, but why people are starting things later in life. People are getting married later. They're investing in bigger purchases later, such as homes and cars. So a lot of people actually consider this a sharing economy because a lot of people our age, majority of them still rent. Uber is now a big thing, so people aren't owning cars. Again, it's just something that is you have to take into consideration when considering this millennial as a whole. Of course, a rapid evolution in technology, specifically the internet. which will of course discuss social media is a huge thing when having to engage millennials. And this is a pretty cool thing. Up to this point, this is the most racially and ethnically diverse adult generation. Of course, research shows that the next generation to come, I think right now they're just calling it Generation Z, that'll be the most racial and ethnically diverse group. But it's just a very interesting statistic because millennials, we can put them all in one definition, but within the millennial generation, there are obviously tons of different groups of people that we have to try to speak to. Just a few more quick stats. With 92 million individuals, it's the largest generation in US history, even more so than baby boomers. So of course, that's a big thing. We want to reach these people because they're the most that we have in the country right now. And not only that, but they're taking leadership roles and bigger roles at this point in time. So these are people that we want to talk to and connect with. 49% actually follow nonprofits online, which just proves that these are people that want to do good and they want to help their community. It's just a matter of how and with whom. 60% desire success stories. How do nonprofits help people in the community? You know, infographics and stats, that's all well and good, but millennials, they want to have a personal effect. They want to know, okay, if this person's doing this, maybe there's a way that I can help, or maybe there's a way I could get a group together to help. And of course, 75% share social media content. So there always is that constant, ongoing desire and need to network. So all in all, what does this mean for Sea Grant? You know, there's so many differentiating things within this generation that defines a person and shapes their world on views and what they want to do with themselves. So how can Sea Grant be a part of that process in a productive and successful way? First thing, of course, as mentioned, would be social media. That's the primary way that people get their information. It's the primary way that people really connect and share that information. So we want that to be a smooth and consistent digital experience. It should be simple and intuitive. You want great graphics with something that grabs them. And they should be interesting and cause relevant. So this example here is something that I made back in February. I did a Reasons to Love Sea Grant campaign from February 1st leading up until Valentine's Day, where every day I focused a post on why you should love and appreciate Sea Grant. I would include a little fact here, and this you could post on any social media site. And it's great because it's just an image, so you can include text in the actual post to go along with this. But this just grabs the reader's attention. It's a good image, and it was a campaign, so it was something I did consistently that whole 2 weeks, so people knew to come back to get more information. Going off that, it's necessary to provide a steady stream of fresh and engaging content. My past year here at Sea Grant, I've learned that I've really helped to establish and reinforce my brand by coming up with different themes and hashtags. Now, these are just some examples. I don't do it every day. I don't even do it every week. But at least these are, you know, quick hashtags. People see it, and take, for instance, Trivia Tuesday. It's obviously a post that people can get involved in because people like talking about themselves. They like giving their answers. They like taking guesses at things. So if they know every Tuesday that me, New Jersey Sea Grant, I'm going to post a Trivia Tuesday post, they come to that post more often on Tuesdays. And I've realized when you do a more consistent themed hashtag campaign or any sort of campaign like that, over time, more people do interact with the post and you get more followers. And I've also realized that you get more shares because people come to you as a reliable, you know, source of information. So they know that they could take these posts and these cool facts and share it with their community. I'll just click through these quick and then I'll show you some examples. But these are some websites that I like for graphic design, and primarily because they're free and they're great tools. You can buy Premiere accounts, you know, for a fee, but I've learned that the free versions work just as well. And the good thing with these, they're all available to use through the computers, but also they're very mobile friendly. So you could download these through an app on your phone, and they work just as well when you're trying to design something online or just through your phone. Canva is take you to the site soon. It's a great graphic design tool website. It makes very professional looking posts. The Reasons to Love post, I made it through Canva. It's very friendly for Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. It has specific dimensions for each social networking site. And the graphics there are just, they pop and they grab your attention instantly. Jiffy or GIF, it depends on how you say it. It's an animation site where you're able to make your own GIFs. And it's really cool because you could just take these short videos and make kind of fun and bizarre, quick little short clips. Adobe Spark's another great one, is an integrated suite of storytelling applications. So on this, it's easy to make a very quick video, very quick graphic, or you can even make a web page. And again, these are all things that are friendly for people who aren't so tech or web savvy. They follow step-by-step instructions, and they're very easy to form, and they look professional. Ripple's another great one that's just available as an app. It's actually not available online. It's a social media marketing tool for small business. And again, it's just a great graphic. And I'll go through some of these examples now so you can kind of get a better idea. So this is Canva, which I use a lot for our social media posts. It loads. Again, it's a free site. It's very easy to navigate and use. Let's use load. These are just some of my examples. Again, you want to use color. You want to use good images. You want to use fun facts. Examples. And up here, I really love this because there's so many different options. There's social media posts, one specifically for Twitter. So you know how sometimes images on Twitter compared to Facebook and Instagram, they get distorted or they don't fit well? Canva makes it so it fits the template that you want to use it for. And you could use your own photos. They have they have a photo library you could use, lots of different fonts. And they're just very cool and different and professional looking posts that I recommend using. Here's the gift site. Again, just very fun. It's a lot of fun if you have just good graphics or cute animals. This one we're doing for our Ocean Fun Days event we had, and it was one of our exhibitors was a animal protection group. So this was a fun little gift we did for them. And I could just show you real quickly how easy it is. All you need to do is take a quick video that you uploaded yourself or through YouTube, and then you just want to create. Just paste it in there. And then basically it takes you right to the screen and you're able to mess with the start time or the duration. I know this is going kind of slow right now, but the basic concept is they're very easy to make, and they're just, again, those quick, very quick animated graphics that people get drawn into, because I think the saying goes that it's only, you have up to 3 seconds for a millennial before you lose their attention. So with a GIF like this, all you need is 3 seconds. And you can mess around with it, and it's just a fun little graphic for you. And as for Adobe Spark, again, very step-by-step, easy. You can make a post, page, video. They have it laid out for you, very easy. I enjoy making videos on this because all it is a 30-second clip. Make a title. And then they have everything set up for you here. All you would have to do is upload images, text, or video to make your own little story. And again, it's a way to connect to millennials, because what they want is a story. They want to know how they can get involved or why they should get involved. So like I said, just real quick, they have everything set up for you. Video, text, photo. Over here you have different templates. It's a very easy tool to use. I could make one of these videos in less than 30 minutes, and then you have it up and posted on social media before you know it.
Wow.
And then just very quick, Ripple, again, it's only through the phone. It's more of a digital marketing device, but that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to sell the Sea Grant brand. So again, they just provide very cool visuals, as you can see here. And if you download the app, that's all available to you. So we'll get back to the PowerPoint. It's important that these posts are visually appealing and emotionally stimulating, because that encourages millennials to invest their time, and they'll want to learn more about the Sea Grant brand. Because this is just a post. The whole point of this is for them to click on your website or to get more information through your extension agents or researchers. So here, this is a video I made in Adobe Spark. Again, just a 30-second clip. It has to do, we made Understanding Storm Surge lesson plan geared toward teachers following Hurricane Sandy. So this video here is just very quick, good images. It has the 3 things you want: text, image, and audio. Just provide some fun facts. And then at the end here, we provide a link where you could get more information. The post here on the right was made through Canva again, and it has all the major points. There's the fun fact or the good fact that draws the person in. Here is how we connect it to the cause that we're trying to support. And then some more examples here. When making these, I always like to put the Sea Grant brand on it. So when people share the image or they take it and put it on their own page, it will always say New Jersey Sea Grant. Out in here. Now this post, we did a favorite beaches poll every year to get the summer started. And so as you can see here, this is something we posted on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just a good visually appealing post that has our name there at the bottom, and it was actually shared over 75 times. So that just goes to show, and it's been commented on, people are liking it. And it's just, it gets people involved. In this poll itself, it's nice because people are giving a say. They're sharing their favorite beach, but it also draws them to our content on njcgrant.com. I won't click through all these because it'll take some time, but just to give you an idea, this one's fun. Another just good, fun graphic. You have this fun fact here on the side, and then this was just made through GIF. Again, it's just visually appealing. It's a lot of fun. It's a punching shrimp in slow motion. So it just gets people, it engages them a little bit. And again, all of these are compatible with social media platforms throughout Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So, you know, social media, it's important. We need it. We need to be good at it because that is the way that millennials get involved. But in my opinion, I still think it's very important to engage them in other ways. You know, we're social online, but we're also a group that wants to be social face-to-face. We want to get involved. We want to get out there. You know, we don't want to be on our computers all the time. We want to be face-to-face. So over the past year here at New Jersey, I've been trying to do some things that brought the community out to Sea Grant. One of the ways to inspire with storytelling and high-impact narratives. Develop partnerships with pop culture mentality. That may sound weird right now, but I'll explain more in a minute. And you want to provide opportunities to serve and get involved. You know, our age group, we want to network. So if there's a reason for us to participate in something where we can grow both, you know, as a person and, you know, through a business, we're going to want to do that. So this is one example on storytelling. It's important to emphasize the impact of the future of Sea Grant. So New Jersey, we function a little differently. We function as a consortium. Rather, I know that a lot of other programs work through universities, but we are located out in Sandy Hook, and we do a lot of summer camps. We do a lot of field trip programs, so there's kids running around all the time. And when I started last year, I noticed that a lot of our junior camp counselors were millennials. They were on the younger age. They were early to mid-20s. And I started just talking to them a lot during lunch, asking their opinions, you know, how can I better connect with you guys? And, you know, it was funny to hear some of their stories because a lot of these kids, they're postgraduates now and they're getting involved in a field that has to do with Sea Grant, but they started camp here when they were 4th, 5th grade. So I thought there was a cool connection there. So last year I did a whole Meet the Crew campaign where I interviewed these postgraduates, early millennials, and I got their stories as to why Sea Grant's important to them. Example here, Emily Casper, who actually won a scholarship through New Jersey Sea Grant. She's been taking our camp at New Jersey Sea Grant since the 5th grade. And then she became a junior counselor, and then she became a field guide, and now she's studying conservation. So to me, that embodies who Sea Grant is and what Sea Grant is. So I wanted to get her story. I wanted to get a throwback picture. I wanted to get a picture of her now, and I wanted to post that online. I wanted to get a few good quotes, and I did this with maybe a dozen of other former field guides, and we made a whole band campaign about it, and it was great because it put a face to Sea Grant. It showed that these amazing millennials who had been working with Sea Grant since they were in elementary school are now doing these awesome, amazing things in their postgraduate careers. So that was a great big draw, and it showed that, you know, Sea Grant, we're people, we're humans, and there's a good cause behind it. I also think it's important to build strong community partnerships. You know, what's new and happening around town? You want to know what's going on in the community so you can connect with this stuff. You want Sea Grant to integrate themselves into the community. If you could find groups or partnerships that support similar missions and causes, that will increase outreach and support, because millennials want to know, you know, I want to get involved, but will this really make a difference if I do it? Win-win participation scenarios. As mentioned before, when you have a group service opportunity, that leads to individual, business, and personal networking, which is important to millennial because they want to help a cause, but they also want to further themselves. And of course, everyone loves free, especially our day and age. You know, money's tight sometimes. So if you can offer a cool event or anything like that, and if you can market it well, people are going to be interested. So as an example, this is something we did here at the Jersey Shore. Again, our location, you know, is a little primed for this, but I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Asbury Park, but it recently was labeled the smallest cool town in America, and it's booming. Like, it attracts young, diverse professional crowds. Thousands and thousands come to it every day. It's a cool little town, and it's right in our community. So right away I was like, all right, I got to get Sea Grant invested in Asbury Park somehow. So the way we did that, thanks to a great partnership with New Jersey Natural Gas and a little bit of sweet talking, we were able to, there's a radio station that broadcasts live from the Asbury Park Boardwalk. Again, it not only is it a hot tourist spot, but the locals go there, so it attracts lots and lots of different people, especially a younger crowd. So we managed to get airtime Friday mornings and Friday nights. We have maybe a 2-minute bit, but I'll go there with a few other people from Sea Grant, and we'll go over topics, anything Sea Grant related, usually beach safety, rip currents, bizarre ocean creatures. This is where I actually promoted the favorite beaches poll that we do. And as far as I talked to the DJs there, and their segment reaches at least 250,000 local listeners. And they also have here their website, their blog. They post about us all the time. Before we go on air on Fridays, I'll usually write up a little article and they'll post it right on their blog, and that gets thousands of hits every day. And this radio station is alternative pop culture, so it attracts obviously a younger crowd. And as you can see in the picture, that table there is our table. I have it set up with brochures, New Jersey Sea Grant brochures. We'll hang out there in the morning. Passerbys come by and they talk to us face to face. And I think it just gives us more of a personality. You know, people actually see us and they see the Sea Grant name, and they know that, you know, we're not just some organization located off in Sandy Hook. We're here. We're in the community. And favorite beaches poll, I've only been doing it for the past 2 years, but this year I've noticed that there's been a really big diverse change in the voting, and Asbury Park's actually doing very well in the voting. And I'm hoping that has to do with the fact that we're doing these segments on the radio, we're reaching out to the younger diverse crowd, and maybe they're listening, you know, they're going to our website and they're looking into more of our information. And another big event we do that has been drawing a younger crowd lately is our Ocean Fun Days. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary before the Memorial Day weekend. It's an event focused on coastal stewardship and energy conservation. And this year we had over 100 exhibitors and volunteers and thousands of attendees. And I've noticed this year that there was a lot, again, it's a free summer kickoff event, which draws a lot of people in, but there's a lot of young couples with young children. So early 30s to mid 30s, which was great. And what made it a little different this year is that we made a lot of interactive Save the Environment activities. So again, this event was took place on Sandy Hook near our establishment, right on the beach. Again, the locality of it, can't really complain. But we had dune grass planting, we had a beach cleanup, we had some paddleboard demos, and then we had our NOAA Fisheries open house. So I think that just drew people in because not only was it a fun family event, but they were doing something good. And we had a table set up right at the front, so they would be the first name that we see, and they knew that we're sponsoring the event. So it was just a good way to get out in the community. And again, that weekend was actually not the best weather, but we had thousands of attendees, so that says a lot. And over here, I actually, I did make a Snapchat filter. Snapchat doesn't really have good metrics to level things off of yet, but this was just something fun because Snapchat is something that millennials use, you know? When they're at this event, it's cost effective, it's not too expensive, and we have our name, we have the name of the event, and then we actually have New Jersey Sea Grant located down here along with the location. And as long as people were using that, you know, at least it was getting the name out during the actual event. And moving forward, like I said, I've only been here a year and we've had luck with these events, but there's a few more things that me and a few coordinators here in New Jersey are hoping to implement when we can. For example, dogs. I don't know about you guys, but in this area, dogs are the thing. Millennials love their dogs. Whether it's a family pet or, you know, it's just a young person with their dog, you know. But I started a campaign not too long ago where it was just share an image of your dog. And I had one of my coworkers bring in her dog. I put it in a Sea Grant shirt. We put it up online and people absolutely loved it. And they kept sharing photos of their dogs and sharing the hashtags. And like I said, this is new, so I haven't really gotten to see the effects of it yet, but I did take one fan photo here and we made it into a desktop calendar. And once I posted this online and advertised it as, you know, a fellow Sea Grant fan and his dog just walking on the beach, people started commenting, they started sharing. So my next thought is to maybe make a calendar photo contest where people could send in pictures of their dogs out on the beach or on the Sea Grant territory, and we could do a contest where we make a 12-month calendar for it, and the winners will get a free copy of it, or they'll be featured on the website and our newsletters. And leading off of that, maybe even one day we could do a puppy walk where our location, again, right on the beach, and dogs are allowed. So if we get everybody together, give them a little tour of Sea Grant, and then go on a walk on the beach with the dogs. And another idea that me and some coordinators here were thinking of was the escape room. I don't know if anybody knows exactly what this is, but it's been a very new kind of cool thing to do where you're locked inside a room for like an hour and you have to try to figure out your way out by using riddles and different puzzles. So we were thinking if we offered one free through the Sea Grant program, people could actually come to our establishment. We'll have a little room set up where it'll be a Sea Grant theme, or it'll be an adventure that's Sea Grant themed. And they have an hour or so to try to figure it out. And then they could tour our facilities. They can really learn what Sea Grant is about and be there. So I'm hoping that's something we could implement in the future. Just some final thoughts here. These are things that we've just gone over, but to put everything in perspective. So millennials appreciate thoughtful, authentic content with quick and captivating delivery. Again, that all comes back to the social media, that you want them to see the graphic and stay on your page. You want to establish brand loyalty with simple, intuitive, seamless digital experience. So you want to provide that in a timely and consistent manner. Inspire with storytelling. You want to make it personable, impactful, and relatable. You know, you want the people want to, especially millennials, want to be able to put themselves in that shoes. You want to provide a steady stream of fresh, engaging, and applicable content to ensure invested interest. And again, as a social group, millennials appreciate opportunities to serve or volunteer with others. So there's this desire to blend personal and professional interests. So if you're able to leverage that and provide a networking opportunity while volunteering, that will increase participation. Nonprofits must come up with interesting cause-related experiences to continue to attract this technologically driven generation. So you want to just keep up with the times. I provided a few examples: Canva, Adobe Spark. They're great tools, but who knows how long that might be applicable. You know, you just want to keep with the trends, and you want to know what's going on with the social media world. And it's known that millennials support causes first over organizations. So instead of just saying, oh, Sea Grant's the best, Sea Grant's the best, you want to show them, help convince them, how does Sea Grant make a difference on the wider issue? And that's it for me. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts, open up the table.
Danica, are you able to see the chat?
Let's see.
Chat group. It's down below, right? Would it be down below?
Chat. Oh, here we go. Yes.
Okay, because there's and I'm not sure if everyone has access to this chat room, but okay. So if you have a question, and again, if you want to say it verbally, write your name down, okay? Or if you want to just write your question, maybe we can kind of go. We had a question from this one. Can you make longer videos on Spark or only short clips, for example?
They can be long. Yep, you can make it as long as you need to on Spark.
Okay. Are there other questions from the group? Does anyone want to speak a question? Here's one from Julia Peterson. Can you see this? What methods do you use to evaluate the effectiveness of your communication?
For sure. That's obviously something we're still working on, but usually I just use the statistics that the template provides. Like Facebook, their analytics are very good. Instagram, Twitter, all that. I'll just usually use their metrics to see how well we're doing.
I have a question. Has having to do with how much time, do you spend 100% of your time doing this sort of thing? And also, how much time does your extension team engage, and what's that interaction?
Great. Yeah, so I'm a one-person team over here. I'm the only communication person at Sea Grant. So I invest a lot of time in this, but not all my time. I usually just do quick little posts in the morning, and then I'll go about what else I have to do in the afternoon. But lately, that's one thing that I've noticed. There's been a gap before I got here in extension and communication. I know that people in extension or researchers, they're all off doing their own thing. They're all very busy. So recently, I actually just made a Google Calendar and a Google group through G Suite for just extension and communication. So whenever they have an event coming up or something important, but they're not able to text or email me directly, I will have them put it in the calendar beforehand, so I at least know what's going on, and if I need to contact them for anything, I could do that directly. But also, I just try to reach out to them as much as I can. I'm like, if there's any photos or video content that you're able to shoot me over quick, you don't even need to give me much information. That's my job. So lately I've with our researchers out in the field, they've been very good about just emailing me quick blurbs or quick photo updates and video updates. And then I'm able to take that and share it through our social networking.
So as far as like the radio station and the booth, the Friday morning and Friday afternoon, is it sort of your responsibility to make that happen and you bring in people as appropriate? How does that work?
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about when we're on air on the radio, right?
Correct.
Yes. So we'll put it like when we did our Rip Currents not too long ago, we did a Rip Currents segment. We had our coastal extension agent come in and actually be on air and talk about Rip Currents. So I will put it out there in advance. Like we try to schedule things in advance. So if my manager will come up with a topic, and then she'll either be the one to present it, or we'll go out in the field to our extension agents and say, hey, do you want to come out Friday morning? We'll grab breakfast in the morning, and then you can just do a short bit online. So we do I try to communicate them with them beforehand so they can get out there and actually be a voice for Sea Grant.
Okay. There seem to be some questions about, and again, fitting this sort of social media efforts into Sea Grant's methods and whatnot. So impacts versus accomplishments. I know you've only been there for a year, but how do you, again, you talked a bit about how you measure how many people have hit, but have you had an impact, or have you been able to create accomplishments? How do you work within that Sea Grant system?
Right now, because we did just do all the peer and everything, a lot of these are just being considered accomplishments. It's still so early on. We're getting, like I said, with the radio, we're getting a lot of numbers. So the radio, we're reaching 250,000 people through the air, and then we're reaching thousands of people on live line through the blog. So right now, those are just considered accomplishments. In regards to impacts, I just think it's too early on for us to really see if there have been any impacts, but that's why I'm hoping as time goes on, just being here a little longer, we could develop those too.
Okay, and Victoria, can you see these? I'd be glad to read them, but.
Yep.
Not everyone can see.
Oh, okay, so do you see them though, right?
Yeah.
Can you sort of read the question and then maybe answer from Victoria?
So this one from Victoria is, do you have an opinion on the best time of day to post on Twitter for outreach? And is there an ideal spacing between posts in the thread? I usually like to post between 8 or 9 in the morning, because that's when people are just getting up and getting ready to go to work. A lot of people, especially millennials, you think they get in the office, the first thing they do is not sit down and necessarily go to work. They check their phones or their social media accounts. So I've always been told in previous experience too that earlier on in the morning, when people are just getting into office, in between 8, 9, 10 o'clock is a good time to post. And then the afternoon, right when they're leaving the office, around 5 o'clock is another good time to post. That's when I at least see the most impact. And we have another question here. Oh, just to go off that, and is there an ideal space between posts in a thread? I usually like to space them out, at least give a day. I don't like to bombard the social media too much, because then people just kind of see it, especially millennials, they see it as spam. So if I'm doing a campaign or, like you said, a thread, I'll try to space it out at least a day or two to keep people coming back on different days.
What about the opposite? So say we don't have someone who's dedicated as much time as you on social media. Yeah. We've been told, again, you've got to make a commitment. You've got to maybe post every day or every other day, or what is it worth even trying this if you can't make a certain commitment? What's the minimum most amount of commitment that you should make?
That's a good point. I mean, I don't think it's ever that I'd say commit as much time as you can. I don't think you should just not do it. I think it's something that's important. But if you can at least get on there at least a couple times a week, I would say that would do fine.
Great. You see Helen's question about what is the best way to enter the conversations. It seems like a lot of communication groups are in established niches. There are also tools that you can schedule posts, so you don't have to worry about posting tweets at a particular time.
Yeah, that's a great point too. So say if you don't have as much time or you don't have as much commitment to the social media aspect of things, if you can just set apart a day, there is techniques where you can schedule it. You can schedule, that entire week of content and material. So you don't have to be online right at that time. You can give yourself a little time where, I'm going to write this now, but I don't have to post it for another 3 days.
Okay. And then we have TweetDeck and Hootsuite can also be used for scheduling tweets.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And again, I know we've struggled here. Should we create our own Facebook page for a specific project? So for example, we have a shellfish initiative, or do we, and then someone was saying, there's about 5 other groups that are doing the same thing. Why don't you just post to theirs? Why are you creating your own Facebook?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, if I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase it. I usually like to keep things in a consistent, like if you have too many pages and people aren't really following them, they're just not going to get as much recognition. So it's almost good to, I think it would be better to team up with these other organizations, whether you make a Facebook page or you can even make an event on Facebook. That's not as concrete as a page. So if you make an event and maybe partner up with other programs and they could all put in their thoughts on that event, I say that would be the best way to do it rather than having a bunch of separate pages.
Okay.
There's another question here.
Yeah, Michael, do you find that there is a limit to the number of hashtags you can and should use? At some point, do people get confused and postings get lost?
That's a very good question. So I know that it actually depends on the platform, because Instagram was made for hashtags. Instagram is one of those things, like, it's not like Facebook or Twitter where you could easily click on a link. So I think when it comes to a platform like Instagram, hashtags are good because it provides more of a community, and you click on a hashtag and it brings you to a whole nother, section. But when it comes to Facebook and Twitter, I'd say almost less, especially on Facebook. I don't use many hashtags on Facebook and Twitter. I will just maybe use one. Like I say, if I'm doing a Motivational Monday post, that will be the only hashtag I use on Facebook. It draws the people in, but it's not an overload where it's just too much information and it just looks all too condensed. So,
do you need to be involved with all of these social media tools in order to be successful in communications and getting the word out?
I mean, I would say it helps, but if you're able to maybe even just take one of these platforms and really excel in it, say if you just focus more on Facebook rather than Instagram and Twitter, you could find just as much success in that. And like I said, me over the past year, I've been trying to find different ways. Having this partnership with the radio station, that they obviously reach a whole different group of people. So if I focus on my blog post for them, and they put that out on their platform, that's a whole nother group of people that I wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. So I think it's important, just because of the day and age we are, that to be involved on as many of these platforms as you can be as a program. But I don't think that will measure your success. I do think that if you're able to just focus in on one platform and really excel in that, you'll be able to get just as far.
Great. I have a question about so here, and I'm speaking broadly, and I'll share my story a little bit more dramatically just to make a point. Is given that we are at the university and we are supposed to be basing everything on research, mm-hmm. and not being advocates and all that good stuff. When I'm playing the devil's advocate a little bit, I see your dog images and I'm like, well, what does that really have to do with Sea Grant? And most of the beaches here in Rhode Island, you can't walk your dog on the beach from, Memorial Day to Labor Day because they poop on the beach and they're ruining the environment to some degree. And again, I'm being dramatic here.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. And so there are some people within the Sea Grant community that may think that what you're doing is really, I don't know. It's not based on research. It's not. In fact, maybe you're encouraging bad behavior. And again, I'm saying this to encourage conversation too. So people, please chime in. Let's get some interaction going on. Danica, what do you think of any of those points?
No, that's a very good point. And it's hard because when it comes to this sort of stuff, you're always going to have to weigh the positives and negatives. And again, this isn't something that we've. It's just an idea of ours, but again, it works for our Sea Grant program just because we are a little different where we're not based out of a university. We focus on research, but our facilities aren't right on the university's campus. So again, this is just an idea that would probably work for us because if people come to us with their dogs or take pictures, they will be in near our building. And my I guess goal would be for if they came, they would want to come to the Sea Grant building and kind of get a better idea of what we do and just start a discussion with me. So that's just an idea for some face-to-face interaction. But again, it's not going to work for everybody and it's not going to make everybody happy. So it's just something that I'm going to try out, but I guess we'll see if it's going to bring any of those negatives like you're saying.
Okay. How about we have almost 30 people on the webinar. Are there other individuals, Helen, I know we spoke with you quickly, others who are doing social media who want to share their story, whether you can type it or you can take yourself off mute, I think, and sort of share your experience with social media.
Yeah, I'd love to hear any other ideas or I know that there's some really cool stuff going on out there in the Sea Grant community, so it'd be great.
Yeah. Anyone? So nobody's doing social media. Should I pick on somebody, or are we having a? And I see some of you too. Anybody want to share their story? How about Judy? Judy, what are you doing?
Well, I know you guys over at Rhode Island have that cool story map. That's something that I was hoping to one day maybe with this Meet the Crew campaign that I had just shown on one of the slides to maybe start a story map with that. I know Florida has a really cool one, and you guys have a really cool story map going on too. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So this was sort of an attempt to engage millennials, and it's part of our Narragansett Bay initiative. And we created a story map called Voices of Narragansett Bay. Mm-hmm. So, and actually, I'd love to get your advice on that. We basically want people to answer a few questions about how they use Narragansett Bay. What do they, there's a lot of controversy right now around Narragansett Bay as far as, is the bay too clean? Some people think it's too clean, and other people want it to be more clean. And so we talk about, well, what do you think a resilient bay is? What would you like, what is your connection to Narragansett Bay? Some questions like that. We have maybe 5 stories on there, but what would your, I do have 2 senior high school students who are volunteering. I'm meeting with them next week. And so, and you know how you get people that say, I want to volunteer, I want to help you. Oh, so yeah. They're 18-year-olds, but what I'm asking them to do is go out and interview 5 people. And so each of them would interview 5 people and get theirs, and then they would send us their stories, and then those stories would be a part of the story map. So but nobody's sort of just, and we did send it out a few times on our Facebook to say, hey, share with us your story. But do you have any recommendations on how we could encourage people to use our Voices in Narragansett Bay?
Got it. It's funny you said that, because I did take a look at it and it looks great. And my one suggestion was going to be to just get out there. I know that you guys are near a university. It'd be great to maybe just talk to some of the university kids. So I think the first step would be to get those volunteers out there and just talking about it. But in regards to just getting people to come to you and post, I know you said you've sponsored it sometimes on Facebook and Instagram, but I would just keep pushing that. And I would even, if you make a post, say if you want to make a nice Canva social media post, maybe you could post it on student, are you guys associated with University of Rhode Island? Is that?
Yes.
Maybe if there's student groups on Facebook, you could make a nice post and post it to their group. So at least that students are going to these pages on Facebook. Okay. So it would be a way for them. That's with that favorite beaches account. That's what actually happened to me. I posted it on a few local community accounts, and it got picked up, and people just happened to see it, and then they shared it with their friends through their pages. So that would be an idea, if you just share something on Facebook, but then post it to individual groups that are a little more, connected to who the voice that you're looking for. That would be a suggestion.
That's a great idea. Another thing that we've done, which is we have these things called blue shorts, and we actually have a graduate student who owns his own drone. He's working with us on putting together mini videos about the shellfish. It's to promote our shellfish initiative. So we have restaurant owners, clammers, aquaculture industry people answering questions, about shellfish and their industry and whatnot. And those have also been quite successful as well, I think. So similarly, to tell the story, we probably can promote them a little bit better, but at least, as you're saying, we are, especially compared to what you're doing, but I think we are getting out there a bit. Danica, you're seeing some good. I'm glad you guys are sharing what you're doing. Danica, is there anything that comes to your hearing? Maybe you want to share a little bit of what you're hearing and comment on?
Chris from Lake Champlain, he was saying we run Twitter and Facebook accounts. That's usually based on from events, and they also do story maps. Again, I think we haven't done story maps yet, but it's something I definitely want to get into. Yours is a great example. I know that I mentioned before, Florida Sea Grant has a really cool story map where it's kind of what we did with Meet the Crew, they're showing you where people throughout their Sea Grant community are now. And so that's something really cool if you want to check it out on Florida's page.
Did you see Katie O'Reilly's comment from the National Sea Grant Office, which is great? I'd like to hear more about that. Is Katie, can you, are we muting her, or can you unmute and maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. I think I've unmuted myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I just shared a couple of examples of things that we in the national office have been doing recently. One was kind of inspired by the comms crew out at California Sea Grant, who wanted us to kind of highlight some Sea Grant funded research using the hashtag appropriately enough Sea Grant funded. And I know a lot of programs have picked up on that, and so that's been really cool to see that develop. We've tried to promote it here on our side of things too. That I've seen mostly used on Twitter in terms of just like identifying researchers and projects that are ongoing. And then the other thing that we started relatively recently at the national level is featuring kind of the human face of Sea Grant through the hashtag #MySeaGrantStory, which is basically kind of like a takeover, if you're familiar with that term on social media, in terms of someone takes over the National Sea Grant account, telling, you know, how they got involved in Sea Grant and what their current work is. And we've had a lot of engagement. We see little peaks in our engagement every time we do a My Sea Grant story. So that's been really cool, a cool way to kind of feature different people throughout the network.
Thank you very much, Katie.
And I know it's great with the Sea Grant funded. I've been doing a few posts associated with that, and I've noticed that it's good if you keep it relative. For example, so June, you know, is horseshoe crab mating season, especially along here in the Delaware Bay and stuff. It's a really big thing. So we have a research project going on right now, and it's based on horseshoe crabs. So I featured one of our researchers, just a picture of him working on the horseshoe crabs and a little more information about the actual project itself, and used the hashtag Sea Grant funded. And I think it worked because it was, horseshoe crabs were kind of just in the media at the time, because in New Jersey, there's thousands of them up and down Sandy Hook, just because it's mating season. So it's good. We kind of made it timeliness, so it got more attention that way too.
Chris, can you talk a little bit about what you did with Lake Champlain Sea Grant? What? Right here?
Oh.
No, I have laryngitis. Oh, that's such an excuse. Great. And what about Julia Peterson had any tips for getting longer term engagement with millennials?
That's actually a really good idea. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do now. Like I said, I've only been here a year, so I'm hoping that I could get to that point. But our Ocean Fun Days event is the big event that I've seen consistent volunteering and participation in. So I'm hoping to maybe take that and use those techniques for other examples. But so our Ocean Fun Days event, we have hundreds of volunteers who come, and they help with the exhibitors, and they help the attendees kind of get around and give information. And consistently, we have the same people return with their friends and family to volunteer each year. So I think if you just have a good event where you treat your volunteers right, and it's a relevant cause and it's something that they support, that if you just make them a part of the objective, they'll keep returning, and they will spread the word. They will bring their friends, they will bring their family, and it will grow into more of a steady commitment.
Great. Yes, so Helen is going to say something. Helen Chang, quickly maybe say a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I mentioned that I'm working on a podcast series for this area, and one of the things that caught my attention while you guys were talking was stories. So what I did one day was I was invited to a community event, and instead of like giving out papers and pamphlets and what have you, I actually took that opportunity to record people's stories of what life is like in this community called the Rockaways. And so it was actually really like heartwarming for people to share their stories. And now I'm compiling that into sort of an episode. And so I think that has that human element, what you guys were talking about, in terms of, getting a narrative and something that connects people to something. And so that's one thing that I've been working on is a podcast series and getting that out. But, I think, one of the things that I'm struggling with is like, how do we enter that conversation? Because like I said, I think it's really hard when people are all talking to each other and they're all have their own streams of thought. So how do I enter a conversation?
I got you. Yeah, that's a very good point. For me, I think it's important to go in, not with a mission statement, but you should just go in knowing a good way to, in a short, consistent, maybe just one sentence as to what Sea Grant is. I always like going in with brochures too, or just a few handouts in case that's just a better way of me just handing them the information so they have it and it's written there. But I agree with you. I think that's one of the struggles here is to just kind of get your voice in. And so if anybody else has any other ideas, that's something that I'm actually kind of interested in hearing about too.
Okay, it's 3:00. Nancy, you had a question. Does anyone have a millennial serving on their programs advisory board? Which is a good question.
That's something we're actually trying, but not yet.
Trying. Okay, great. Okay, it's 3:00. I do want to say thank you very much, Danica. This was really useful and exciting. This is recorded, everyone, so if you want to share this with your extension team or anyone. I have one last question. I was signing up for Sea Grant Week yesterday, and I noticed there's a few sessions on social media. Who's organizing that? And is this I'm hoping, I'm selfishly organized this webinar because I want to learn more about it. And I really appreciate what Danica's done, but I'd like to continue the conversation. So if, hopefully we'll see you guys at Sea Grant Week. Again, I don't know who's organizing the social media sessions, but you'll see me there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Danica, you want to stay on for a second?
Yeah.
Sure. Just say.